Well, the title of this video is Nothing Happens If You Sit on Your Arse. Now, before anybody gets offended, I just want to say there is a little backstory to this title. So, as you know, I am like virtually married in everything but name only to my fabulous partner who is white and Estonian. So anyway, I'm talking to him on the after having an earlier conversation with Leanne, who you've seen is like 1/3 of the trio of the Shereen, Abby and Leanne show, and just talking about like the energy and the effort that it takes to do this. Because like I know you just think like Shereen just rocks up on video, do you know what I mean, looking semi-decent, and like magically that exists. But not only just like the work goes into doing video, and anyone who does video on a regular basis, trust me, doing it once a week is nothing. Try doing it every single day and you got to edit it, and I can't be bothered to edit it properly. So then I just think, why is that still in there? I think I've eye rolled too many times. And there's everyone now like likes to take the mick and send me messages about my magic finger, because you know when I get carried away, like my magic finger comes out. And he said, so I was saying like, you know what? I wish that just by talking, right, and doing, and just like wishing society and the world and the business world to be different, that would magically make change happen. And he said, yeah, like absolutely. He said that the reality is like nothing happens if you sit on your ass. And I was like, oh, I'm going to use that. And he was like, oh, really? I was like, yes. The one time that he's paid attention to anything that I do. I think he's only seen about like 10 of my videos, and bearing in mind I'm on like video number 44 or whatever else it is, like there's a whole lot he hasn't missed. Every time I say to him, you're gonna watch it, he's like, yeah. But you know, that Michael Jordan documentary on Netflix is far more entertaining than watching me, you know, so it is what it is. Anyway, the purpose of me saying this, so the purpose of the title is one of the things that if you go back to like maybe some of my earlier videos, and there's been a thread, but if nothing else, like forget, because I'm not expecting you to remember everything that I said, because I can barely remember everything that I've said. But one of the things which is the purpose, I guess, behind not only the message, like of, you know, what I'm trying to convey, but also the way I deliver my message, part and parcel, because it is my personality. Do you know what I mean? So I am a little bit extra. Like, you know, my mum used to say like I'm a bit of a drama queen when I was growing up. I don't like to believe I'm a drama queen, but apparently I am a little bit. I like to prefer to call the term a little bit extra. Always got to give a little too much. But I've been very honest in saying that this work that we've got to do here in this space, eradicating systemic racism, having the right conversations at the right time with the right people in the room, is not a one-sided message. Meaning, because this is really important, and I always, you know, look, sorry, fingers are coming out now. Really important, because I always feel like occasionally it might get lost in translation. So in the same way that I am saying, as white people or as non-black people, there is work to be done. You know, I'm very honest in what I say about white people, and the reason why that white people have to do a lot of the heavy lifting with this. One, because we are not in positions of power as black people. Two, unfortunately, we have to wait for your permission to be able to do some of the things, not all of them, but some of the things that we really need to do to affect the changes we really need to make. This is particularly prevalent in the business world, because there are not enough in numbers of black people in positions of senior leadership who can, just through their very presence, affect change, right? But the other thing is, and I've been having this conversation with a fair few black people, and to be honest, like the conversation is normally like, oh, Shereen, it's great what you do, but don't you think you're just like being a bit too honest? Do you know what I mean? Giving away a bit too much of like, you know, what we're thinking or what we're feeling, even though a lot of the time, you know, I'm talking from my personal experience, but I'm also sharing what other people are whispering in my ear, or the message that they send, or the emails, or the conversations that I have. Because remember, that's what I do behind all of this as well. And my argument is, well, there's two things that I want to say. And I guess this is more for my fellow black brothers and sisters, is the reason why I do what I do to the level of honesty, like unflinching honesty that I do, is because we cannot affect change just by willing it so, right? We cannot expect society to be different. We cannot expect businesses to be different. We cannot expect our experiences as we navigate walking, driving while black to be any different if we only rely on white people to do differently. Now, I talk about this and I come from a very human place. So you see me like cry, you see me look like something the cat dragged in, you see me with my hair uncombed, you see me in my gym gear, you see me when the lighting is shit, you've seen when the resolution, because you know I was too lazy for a long time and I just use my laptop because I couldn't be bothered to get up and do videos anywhere else. You've seen all of that. You've also heard me say that I am learning in this journey because as a black woman, there are things that me, Shereen Daniels, I need to unlearn and relearn and then learn new things as well. So maybe that's why, you know, I don't know why I get away with saying some of the things I get away with, considering how like pokey I can be. But I'm very conscious of not like preaching and coming from a place of like, you know, my shit is on point. Because listen, my shit is not on point. There are things that I need to do better. You know, there are ways I need to. I did one video a while ago and I talked about, you know, the fact that, you know, even I learned about centering myself in the conversation because I'd be the queen at doing that as well. Like, oh my God, yeah. It's just like, and I'm learning. I'm also learning some of the things that I have been conditioned to think based on my experiences, and 2 + 2 = 6. In some cases it is 2 + 2 = 4, but I'm learning that there's some things that I now need to do differently, but also think differently to be able to not only just affect change, but when things start improving and changing, I need to make sure that I am not still using the same old habits based on a world that no longer exists. Do you know what I mean? So we cannot expect only white people to do the work in this. We all have to do some work in this. It's just different work. And for some people, if you were just like a sliding scale, there are some things that have more weight, more volume. You know, I talk about white people having to do the heavy lifting, but we got to lift some shit too. You know, or that's how I feel. And I know that plenty of people might disagree with me, but you know what, that's what I feel. Because as human beings, we are perfectly imperfect. You know? And I challenge hard. I challenge CEOs hard. I challenge leadership teams hard. I challenge HR people hard. I challenge the people around me hard. In the same way that I challenge myself hard. You know? And whilst my partner was joking, because the irony is when he said like, you know, nothing happens if you sit on your ass, he was literally sitting on his ass doing jack shit. As he told me this, and it was really like, you know, yeah, you're absolutely right. And I was like, what are you doing? Anyway, but the point still remains. You know, I will bring whoever on this journey with me in the best way that I know. If you are going to get on the bike, I will carry you, but I can't be the only person pedaling. Hello. Quote Leanne there. So we cannot, as black people, think that there is nothing more to be done. And listen, you know, I know. Like, I'm not for a moment saying that we're not valid in how we feel. I'm not saying that we're not valid in our anger, our frustration, our hurt, even now, you know, because like everyone thinks like just because a few of us are talking, like magically everything's improved, and that clearly that is not the case. Like, I get that, I really do. But I guess what frustrates me when I'm having conversations with my black brothers and sisters is the bit that's missing for me is, what are you doing? In the same way that I go to leaders like, you, what are you doing? What are you doing in the way that you can, with the influence that you have, to affect change or inspire other people to use their voice, their skills, their capabilities, their strengths? And I'm not saying for a split second like, you know, like do what I'm doing, like jack it all in and go and do this. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is we can't just sit here and see things play out in the media and see things play out in the news and send each other WhatsApp links and articles without going, okay, what am I doing? Like, it's great that people support what I'm doing and send me messages to keep going, but I can't carry the whole black community. I'm just carrying myself, just about. I need to lose a bit of weight. Do you know what I mean? So I'm saying that from all the love that I can give you, and I hope you hear like what I'm trying to say. But it's really easy to look at 1, 2, 3, 4 people who are doing X, Y, and Z and poke holes in what they're doing because you wouldn't do it that way. Well, then what are you doing? You know? And it's great that you would send messages of support and phone calls of support to somebody else over here because you like what they're doing. But I go back to, what are you doing? Because listen, we've already seen, like you can hear like the frustration, oh my God, in my videos when I talk, that if we want to wait for leaders and people of influence to get the memo, to see the changes that we want to see in society, then we got to buckle up because it's going to be a hell of a long wait. Oh, the few grey hairs that like are desperately peeping through, my whole head is going to be grey. Do you know what I mean? And I'm going to have to be passing on the baton to my daughter, who's potentially going to have to pass on the baton to her daughter. And then I've got to go to my next daughter and go, listen, you're 10 years behind the other one. You need to go and pick it up, and so on and so forth. So I guess I want us as black people to also think about ownership and accountability and doing different. And some of that is around what can you do in like the tiny thing. It might even just be speaking up. It might even just be calling out. It might even just be when somebody talks to you a certain way, rather than keeping silent, which is what we've always done, you go, today is the day that I'm not going to do that anymore. You know, today's the day I'm not going to do that. If I see something, I'm going to call it out. If somebody talks to me a certain way, I'm going to call it out. If I think an email that's been sent is inappropriate, I'm going to call that out. If I feel like there's a conversation I maybe need to have with my manager because there's a lot of the way I've been treated that's now sitting on my spirit and I feel like there's a lot of things that are unsaid, I'm going to exercise my power and bring that to the table. And I get not every single environment is psychologically safe, like I understand that, but to some extent we have to push past our own discomfort. Do you know what I mean? To get the impetus for things to change. And the other thing is that we also have to recognise that there may be some behaviours, some ways in which we view the world that might need to be shifted a little bit, you know. And bearing in mind, I'm talking to black people who are reading and learning and re-educating themselves like I'm re-educating myself. So we're all learning. And I guess it's important for, you know, white people and non-black people to hear me when I say this, you know. Everybody is doing work. Well, I say everybody, do you know what I mean? Like the people I'm connected to, right, are doing work. Clearly, because otherwise they wouldn't be talking to me about this. But, you know, everyone is doing work. So this is not a one-sided thing. But, and I'm not saying this for white people to then go, yeah, you know what, because Shereen said, you know, like as black people, you go, listen, I ain't even talking about meeting you halfway, a quarter of the way. This has got nothing to do with making your life easier. This is about, as black people, growing and learning together. So, as society improves, I hope, as cultures within organisations improve, we have also updated our mindsets around how we're going to show up. Do you know what I mean? What lines we will now not allow to be crossed. That's the important thing with this. You know, and the example I use, just to close, because you know I could be here all day talking about this, but the example that I use is I said to somebody, if the world magically changed tomorrow, just like that, and all the things that we've been talking about, crying over, dying over, let's be clear, in some cases, right? All of those things magically came to fruition, and we were living in a society that doesn't tolerate difference but embraces it. On all scales, all the isms, as my friend Dr. Joseph says in the States, all the isms, right? And we lived in a society that says if one of us is on our knees, then we're all on our knees until we can pick up that person and hold hands and all move together. So anyway, I think that's enough now, because I think you get that. Hopefully you get the sentiment of what I'm trying to say. You know, we've got to be learning. It's a two-way street. I've got a lot of work to do. I've got a lot of pressure to keep applying, but I do not want us as Black people to be passive in this journey as well. You know, because as I said, when this new society, oh my God, wouldn't life be amazing, wakes up and we are here, there just are some things in the way that we've been doing things, things that we've been saying, our mindset, that will no longer serve us anymore. You know, we need to come out of the shadows. We need to own our fabulousness, own our brilliance, own our creativity, own the fact that we are multidimensional, own our intersectionality, right? That we do not define and label ourselves according to the colour of our skin. And just because society has done that, that doesn't define who we are, you know? So yes, that's my message for today. So I hope it makes sense. And as always, I will see you tomorrow.